Welcome to Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. Cynthia Elizabeth James, known to everyone as Cindy, was born in British Columbia in 1944. From a young age, she was driven, nurturing, and quietly intelligent. She pursued a career in nursing, later specializing in working with children with emotional difficulties. She married Dr. Roy Makepeace, a psychiatrist, in 1966. The couple seemed happy, but beneath the surface, Cindy's life would eventually fracture. After 16 years of marriage, she filed for divorce in 1982. That same year, her life took a dark turn. Cindy began reporting strange occurrences, silent phone calls in the middle of the night, threatening notes, items rearranged or missing in her home. What started as mild harassment escalated into a 7-year campaign of fear and intimidation that spiraled into something beyond belief. The notes were crude, cut-out letters like something from a movie ransom scene. They read, "You are dead. Soon, see you tonight." Dead animals started appearing at her doorstep. Her phone line was repeatedly severed. Windows were shattered, but it didn't stop there. One evening in 1983, a terrifying scene unfolded. Cindy's friend and occasional roommate, Agnes Woodcock, arrived at her home. She found Cindy hiding. Terrified, Cindy claimed an intruder had tried to enter her house, cutting the phone line. The police found no evidence of forced entry. It was the beginning of a pattern: disturbing incidents, Cindy's visible fear, and a frustrating lack of evidence. Police skepticism began to grow. In total, Cindy reported over 100 incidents to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. She moved multiple times, changed her phone number, painted her car, even changed her name to Cindy Makepeace in an attempt to escape her tormentor. She kept detailed notes. She lived under near constant surveillance. But the RCMP, over the course of a 6-year investigation involving more than 10 officers and thousands of man-hours, could never verify instances of harassment by a third party. Even her private investigator, Ozzie Cabin, noted contradictions. In one incident, Cindy called him to report a break-in. Caban arrived to find her unconscious, her body slumped on the floor, yet nothing in the house appeared disturbed. No signs of forced entry. The RCMP began to question whether Cindy was staging the incidents herself. But if that was the case, what was she trying to say? In 1984, things took a darker turn. Cindy was found semi-conscious in her basement. She had a stocking around her neck and bruises on her body. Yet once again, no clear evidence pointed to an assailant. Cindy claimed she had been abducted and injected with drugs but couldn't remember the details. The situation spiraled. Cindy's mental health declined. She was hospitalized and placed under psychiatric care. Doctors diagnosed her with severe anxiety, depression, and possible dissociative episodes. Still, even during therapy, Cindy insisted she was being stalked. She refused to believe it was her imagination or self-inflicted. She told her father, "If anyone thinks I'm doing this to myself, they're crazy. I know what's happening." Was this a textbook case of paranoid delusion or a chilling psychological breakdown triggered by real terror? On May 25, 1989, just a few days after her 44th birthday, Cindy James vanished. She had left work and run some errands. Her car was found in a parking lot near a shopping mall. Her friends immediately feared the worst. 2 weeks later, on June 8th, her decomposing body was discovered in the yard of an abandoned home, barely a mile from where the car was found. Her hands and feet were bound behind her back. A black nylon stocking was tightly wrapped around her neck. The autopsy revealed a lethal dose of morphine and other sedatives had been injected into her bloodstream. No needle was found. Coroner's conclusion: death was not determinable, not a suicide, not a murder, just unexplainable. There are two dominant theories in the Cindy James case, and both are deeply unsettling. Cindy was murdered. Supporters of this theory argue that Cindy was stalked for years, eventually kidnapped, drugged, bound, and killed by an unknown assailant. Her ex-husband, Dr. Makepeace, was a person of interest early on, but no evidence ever tied him to the case. Could it have been a patient, a stranger, or someone close to her who escaped suspicion? But how did the killer leave no physical trace? No fingerprints, no DNA, no eyewitnesses? Cindy staged her own death. Intentionally or accidentally, investigators tested whether the knots binding her hands and feet could be self-tied. Experts concluded it was difficult but possible. The morphine? Perhaps acquired through nursing contacts. The motive? a desperate final act after years of unacknowledged suffering. But then, why would someone buy groceries, wrap a gift, and run errands with such care only to commit a complex suicide hours later? Even in death, Cindy left no answers, only a haunting question mark. Cindy James's case captured the Canadian public and the psychological community for decades. It's been featured on The Fifth Estate, Unsolved Mysteries, and numerous true crime documentaries and podcasts. It has become a textbook case in the study of victimology, mental illness, and law enforcement's response to psychological trauma. To this day, her family believes she was murdered. Her parents fought for years to have the case re-examined. The RCMP ultimately closed the case with no conclusive findings. The question that remains, one whispered in classrooms, online forums, and living rooms around the world, is this: what happens when the truth is so strange? No one believes it, even if it's real. Was Cindy James a brilliant manipulator lost in her own illusions? Or was she a woman systematically terrorized until her death, abandoned by the very institutions meant to protect her? Tell us what you believe in the comments. Was this Canada's most elaborate suicide, or the perfect crime? If you found this story as compelling as we did, give us a like, share it with your fellow mystery lovers, leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe to Echoes Untold, where history whispers and we listen. Fact-check note: this episode is based on thoroughly verified and publicly available sources, including CBC Archives and the Fifth Estate documentary, Who Killed Cindy James, 1990. A Question of Murder by George Jonas and Barbara Amiel, 1990, police reports and RCMP statements archived by Canadian Crime Record statements from Cindy's family, private investigator Ozzy Caban, and Dr. Roy Makepeace Journal of Forensic Sciences, and expert testimony from criminologists and forensic pathologists. The Cindy James case remains closed and unresolved, with no suspects ever formally charged.